Hello, my name is Pádraig Lenihan. I work here in the National University of Ireland, Galway. I'm looking out over the Corrib here. It's a fine sunny day. I'm in the Department of History, and I'm talking to you because Heather McLaughlin had asked me to introduce the Benburb project because I had written most of the script. Unfortunately, I can't be with you today, and I asked for the opportunity to record these few words just to be with you, as it were, virtually, if not actually in reality. Before I say anything else, I want to say how much I enjoyed, how much I learned from the project, learned from the professionalism, the skill, the camera work, who made this such a success. Bala are on Obershaw. Why should we remember the Battle of Benburb? It's going on 500 years. I hope to be around to see the 500th anniversary. It's 1646. It's a long time ago. I would think of three reasons off the top of my head. One, it's a human tragedy. As darkness shrouded the field of slaughter on the 5th of June 1646, 3,000 men lay dead or dying on that field. More were being hunted as darkness fell across the surrounding countryside. Secondly, Benburb mattered. It was consequential. It mattered because the Scottish Covenanter Army, and the largest single component of the Protestant forces in Ireland, were going to lunge at the heart of the Confederate Catholic regime, in my opinion. And Benburb stopped that. So arguably it saved the Confederate Catholic regime. We speak of a battle being decisive, and it's a bit of a misnomer. No one battle decides the outcome of a war. A war is decided by increments. It's a matter of battle is just one more increment in a long process of attrition that leads to an outcome, victory, defeat. O'Neill is often criticised after Benburb that he didn't pursue Monroe, overrun the Scottish settlement of East Ulster, and make more of his victory. That's unhistorical. The man who paid O'Neill's bills was Papal Nuncio Rinuccini. Rinuccini wanted O'Neill back in Kilkenny because, as far as Rinuccini was concerned, and many others, the Confederate Catholic regime was facing a mortal threat. A minority faction within a powerful faction within the Confederate Catholics wanted to make or conclude, or actually did conclude in the end, a shameful peace, as Rinuccini would have seen it, with Ormond, the Earl of Ormond, the King's deputy in Ireland. That had to be forestalled. O'Neill answered his master's call, came to Kilkenny, and wrecked the Ormond peace. That's so much for the consequences. Secondly, and I'm supposed to be a professional historian, but I'm swept up myself in the emotion of this thing. There is something heroic about the Ulster Army. The Ulstermen had been hunted and driven out of Ulster back in 1642-43. They had since then subsisted on a hand-to-mouth existence, a hunted hand-to-mouth existence in Leinster and Connacht. Now finally they were returning to Ulster. They stood, they fought, they won. We even have O'Neill's own words that he spoke in his harangue to the troops before the battle. And it's very unusual. Mostly, if you see these recorded, they're kind of literary inventions, but there was a diarist there carefully taking notes. Read it, even though it's in Irish, and I'll give you a rough translation. And apologies for my Connacht Connaught. And I'll just read it out here. Agus cogah ascarja dé agus náidir wa nanama, agus dénach calmacht ina NUIG NUG, os iad na wanjíh ar díarna war glans war mahas spiridalta agus temporalta, agus the one more war NUIG div is the queer ar Joriach shiv. What he's saying to them is, look at these guys. They're the people who wronged you. They drove you into exile. They took your lands. They suppressed your religion. Jane Colmocht in a NUIG NUG. Stand steady in their faces today. Colmocht is not an Irish or Celtic. It's not Crogut. It's not bravery or heroism. Colmocht is a kind of bravery that involves steadiness, standing fast, endurance, and it's not a sort of courage that we associate with Irish armies, certainly of the time. So that legend of Benburb, of the heroism, of the steadiness of Benburb, it's very sustaining for later generations of Irish nationalists from the Young Irelanders onwards, who look back to this as an example of manliness and courage of the kind that shows the Irish were fit to be self-governing. They're not just a rabble of cowards. So, from a local point of view, Donegal men were there. There was a Donegal regiment under Manus O'Donnell. Manus fought on foot at the head of his regiment and was killed. This Manus was the son of Niall Gareth O'Donnell, the notorious, how do I say this? I don't want to use the word traitor, but he's the man who more than anybody else is responsible for the outcome of the 9 Years' War. The man whose defection was, in my view, more consequential than Kildare, than Kinsale. He undermined the Ulster Confederate Alliance at a crucial stage in the face of English reconquest. So this man's son dies over 40 years later on the field of Benburb. Finally, at the Tyrone launch, I spoke about how do you deal with the historical memory of violent events in a divided society. Maybe it's not as important or as pressing an issue on this side of the border. Maybe not. In a way, military history, strictly speaking, shouldn't be as big a difficulty as massacres or putative massacres. You did this to us, we did this, we were retaliating. That it's possible to produce a military history that is respectful of other traditions, because even to allege or to say that the enemy were a rabble of cowards diminishes one's own side. O'Neill won, Munro lost. It could have been otherwise, and it had been otherwise on other days. That's all that needs to be said. So with that, folks, I'll hand over, and thank you for your attention.